Good evening, Canby. Welcome to Canby City Council special meeting for April 23rd, 2014. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay standing for a moment of silence, please. Great, thank you very much. So we have a short agenda this evening. I want to thank staff, CTV5, and the council for coming in on an off night to take care of some short order business. Before we get to that, it's our first opportunity for citizen input and community announcements. So if you would like to address the council, there's some yellow cards on the back podium there. Feel free to fill them out and hand them there to Sue, and we'll let you speak to us. Seeing nobody running to do that, we will move into our evening's business, which is ordinances and resolutions. Ms. Sue.
Tonight we have ordinance 1400, an ordinance of the City of Canby, Oregon, declaring a moratorium on medical marijuana facilities and declaring an emergency, to come up for second reading on April 30th, 2014.
Great, thank you, Sue.
And I can talk about this a little bit in that, currently the City of Canby has a business license structure that disallows any illegal business, and that would be according to either local, state, or federal laws. And so this is in a sense duplicative because what we're about to talk about is a business that the recent legislation that has allowed for medical marijuana dispensaries is technically state legal but not federal legal. And so even under our business license structure, it's an illegal business for federal purposes, which would disallow them to get a business license currently in Canby. But what Senate Bill 1531 that just came out of the Oregon legislature did was it specifically talked about in Section 3 of that bill that was signed by the governor. It basically says, notwithstanding the Medical Marijuana Act and the dispensary law, that people who are employed at these facilities, under the new law, we're going to be given exemption from being prosecuted under state law for any sort of delivery of marijuana. And so what this does is it allows any, either city or county, to have a moratorium for a 1-year period starting May 1st, 2014 and going to May 1st, 2015. And all it simply does is says, look, this moratorium is because we don't know exactly how this law is going to go, what the regulations are going to be. And so it says, in effect, people who are employed by these, if there's a moratorium, they're not going to be exempt from being prosecuted for delivering a controlled substance because it's still a Schedule I controlled substance under federal law. And that may change. But this moratorium is kind of a way in which there was some sort of compromise at the Senate level in our state so that people could take a break, look at this a little bit closer, and not lose the ability to prosecute people at the federal level for those particular crimes. So this was a suggestion that we're bringing forward. The chief of police is interested in having this too because he's spoken with other chiefs and they all wanted to be on the same page. I know about 100 different municipalities at this point have passed such a moratorium just to take advantage of the year and not lose that legal remedy of prosecuting for delivery of marijuana at this point. And I believe it's at least 10 counties right now have also done the same thing for the unincorporated areas. Not the least of which was Washington County, which I think was just this morning they were talking about that having passed. So our proposal is just basically this ordinance allows for the moratorium to go into place for 1 year and leave that one legal remedy of letting basically our DA up in Clackamas County prosecute these people still.
So, this is just, like you said, this is just a year piece, and we'll have to, depending on what transpires in the next legislative session, we'll have to revisit in some capacity.
Well, yeah, and in fact, if tides totally turn and there's brand-new legislation or, referendums or initiatives that come out, things could totally change and make this obsolete. We can always revisit it. You could always put it in place, and it's an ordinance, you can always take it away with another ordinance. So it isn't it isn't irreparable, so to speak. It's just a maneuver that, because other chiefs and so many municipalities are taking advantage of a very explicit piece of this new legislation, we thought we'd have you guys entertain the idea of doing it.
Okay. Questions or comments for staff and all?
I just wanted to clarify that it does actually sunset May of 2015 without action of the council.
Yes. Yeah, this particular law only is in effect allowing people to, or allowing these moratoriums to sidestep the, I'm looking for the word here, but basically the fact that under the law, if you don't have a moratorium, people are exempt from being prosecuted. That portion of it subsides on May 1st, 2015.
And that's
And
the piece this gets us versus just the business license piece. we already have
That
in
continues
place.
to go on until you change it.
Okay, but that, the advantage in your eyes of doing this is the ability to prosecute for federal crime.
Yes, and mostly because, like I say, the police chiefs are wanting it as a piece, and the DAs are wanting it as a piece too, to continue to be able to prosecute for anything involving delivery of a controlled substance in terms of marijuana. So, and I should say, because I did a little research about, and it had to be a little bit of speculation, because people's medical issues with the medical marijuana make it so you can't really look and see who is a card holder because of HIPAA rules, unless there's a bona fide investigation as to particular drugs for that particular person. So instead, I looked at the numbers involving what the county's population was, and then what Canby's percentage of that population was, and how many medical marijuana holders there are currently. And it turns out that just if you did a straight percentage share of Canby's share of Clackamas County people, there's somewhere between 150 and 180 proposed medical marijuana users in town, and those folks presumably already get their prescription somewhere, right? So it isn't like you're withholding their prescription from wherever they get it currently. And another way of looking at this, I think, is, this law disallows any medical marijuana dispensary to be within 1,000 feet of a school, and I believe Canby has 9 schools, and you must build one in a commercial or industrial area. So it leaves actually very little room for a dispensary to be here anyway, frankly. So it isn't, I don't think, in Canby, it doesn't necessarily behoove people to try to set up camp here anyway. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the map and done the concentric circles with 1,000 feet away from all the schools, and then look at the industrial areas. But there's very little real estate, if any, available to these folks for them to follow this law anyway. But what I think a lot of the police chiefs and the DA don't want is the waters to be muddied when people are maybe in the process of applying for this and maybe not being in total compliance with the dispensary law. And then they get this idea of, how hard do we go at people who are maybe trying but haven't actually accomplished following the law. And so I think this makes it pretty clear cut that Canby just doesn't want this sort of facility, at least for this year period, if that helps.
Thank you, Joe. Councilor Parker.
Mayor, it was a balancing act for me on this because of the 150 people that potentially could have a medical marijuana card in Canby is one that's personal to me, a lifelong servant of this community, someone who's helped out generations of children who recently came down with a lifelong disease and was issued a medical marijuana card to help with the effects of the other medicines that this person is taking. So I wanted to take seriously the inconvenience of having to drive in order to obtain this medicine. But it was balanced by the fact that we are in new territory, that this is something that's going to take a while to wash out. So I can support this as a year delay, but at some point, there is going to have to be a balancing act on the people, our constituents, who could use this as a means of coping with a fatal disease. So I will be supporting it, and thank you for the research that you've done.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. With that, I will take a motion. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I move for passage of ordinance number 1400, an ordinance of the City of Canby, Oregon, declaring a moratorium on medical marijuana facilities and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, sir. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Dale and seconded by Councilor Rocha to approve ordinance number 1400, an ordinance of the City of Canby, Oregon, declaring a moratorium on medical marijuana facilities and declaring an emergency. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Great. Thank you for that. And that concludes our business this evening.
Do we want to ask our guests about their presence here? Is this a school outing?
We certainly can. Yes. Gentlemen,
You picked an easy night.
please come on up and
Yeah, come on up and
introduce yourselves and
please.
tell us what school project you're working on.
Grab another chair there and pull it up. Okay.
I'm like those poor scouts that chose the 3-hour night.
Yeah.
I'm Jacob Daniels.
And I'm Jordan Goodwin, and we're working on our EA to help us graduate.
And what is your EA?
Extended application. So basically, it's just like we ask a teacher of a project to do, and then so our teacher said that we attend a city council meeting. So.
Well, you picked a short one. There's a wide agenda for you guys.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My daughter is a senior, and she's going through this process as well. What she will not have, that you will have, is a digital film clip of your actual participation in this. So Tony at CTV can help you with that. So anyway, we're glad you're here. Good luck with graduation and the years beyond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah. Gave Bob some company this evening. All right. Anything? All right. Well, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, Camby. Thank you.